Joining us now is Okpe with stories trending around the world. Hello, G.
Good morning, Dr. Abate.
What have I done wrong now?
You're excellent. How was your weekend?
Yeah, very well.
Good morning, Tundu. You look lovely.
So do you.
Thank you. I don't feel it, though, but I hope now I'm here, I'm happy.
Always look great.
Thank you. Good morning to you, viewers. We begin what's trending in Nigeria. Over the weekend, users on social media reacted to the news that Nigeria's former Minister of Petroleum, Diezani Alison Madueke, is now a Trade and Investment Commissioner for the Commonwealth of Dominica. Now, new reports have debunked the news to be fake. Quoting from the Boss newspaper, Mrs. Deizani Alison Madueke was not appointed commissioner, nor does she hold a diplomatic passport of the Commonwealth of Dominica. The former minister, who is facing a 23 billion naira poll bribery scandal allegation preferred against her by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, was alleged to have been issued a diplomatic passport by the Dominican government on May 21st, 2015, which gave her immunity from persecution and arrest by any law enforcement agency, including the Interpol. Now, let's take some reactions that circulated over the weekend before we come back for our discussion. One user, JJ Omoru, wrote, this Diezani Dominican Republic matter is not a news story. It didn't stop the UK for arresting and persecuting her. And as we speak, we can't travel out of the UK. Some websites basically reposted news from last year as news without any update. Let's go to the next tweet quickly. A list of the ex-minister's assets seized by the federal government was posted by Africa Facts. Diezani Madueke Alison, Nigeria's ex-petroleum minister's $40 million jewelry was recovered by the government in July 2017. A $37.5 million home, $2.7 million, and $218,000 were recovered from her in August 2017. $153.3 million in January 2017. She is now a Dominican citizen, according to the Vanguard. Finally, another user wrote, those recovered money and properties must have been relooted by another set of people. Nigeria is a blessed nation. Nigerians are gifted naturally and intellectually. It is unfortunate that we haven't got the leadership thing right since independence. Oh, well.
I agree with that last tweet.
Yes, that last tweet was quite apt.
But really, I don't see what the furore is all about.
It was huge all over the weekend.
Having the citizenship of the Commonwealth of Dominica. The Nigerian Constitution, to start with, allows dual nationality. But I guess that people are responding for emotional reasons, whether that would confer immunity on her in one regard or the other. But as you pointed out, that story has been refuted, that it is not true. Because I guess when the story began to circulate, a publication in Dominica called the Dominica Vibes pointed out that... That
was from 2015, actually, yes.
That in 2015, around May, that she indeed met with the Prime Minister of the country in London, of the Dominica Commonwealth in London. And that was when there was this talk about making her a trade, commissioner for the Commonwealth of the Dominica. But that later, around 2015, December, that, this was reversed. But this time around, people have brought up the story again. They've shown evidence of the passport and of the letter and all of that. But really, I don't think it's anything that anybody should lose sleep over. Many Nigerians all over the world have dual nationality. So even if it were true, she has not committed any offense in that regard. There are Nigerians who are sitting in parliaments in different parts of the world. There are Nigerians who are mayors in different parts of the world.
But that's not the point, though, is it?
Yes, I get the point. I get the point. But we have to stay with the principle. The basic point is not about, okay, whether she has a case to answer or not, and whether she will get immunity. Yeah, that point is clear.
Yeah, that's the point.
But, we shouldn't stretch that to the point of absurdity.
No, a lot of Nigerians are concerned about this news, obviously, because there are looted funds involved, there are Nigerian money involved. People will not give up the story, Dr. Abati, and that is why it was.
I don't think it can be overstretched. The fact of the matter is, just because we have become accustomed to corruption in the highest office doesn't mean we should become inured to it. It is still quite staggering. I mean, you see and you hear about former officials, even from Dominican Republic, from the United Kingdom, they vacate that office and they move on with their lives. There's never all of this
So the country is Commonwealth of Dominica, which, you know, they do give passports and they have, you know, a lot of people coming there for diplomacy. Yes, investors. And there was a story I watched, I believe it was last year, from Al Jazeera, and they had covered this story about the Commonwealth of Dominica issuing passport for diplomats who want to abscond from their countries, and Ms. Madueke was part of the whole investigation. They alleged that she had a home in New York where it was bought by the minister of the Commonwealth of Dominica. So that happened, and that's why one of my tweets read, "This is not a new story," because it had been circulating since last year. They had evidence or some sort that this was the story. So that's why a lot of people are concerned over social media because of these allegations. Well, now that they have debunked it, who knows, you know, what...
The only thing we should always be careful about is not to do what is called trial by media.
Right.
Because trial by media in itself is objectionable.
Yes.
You know, so even when you say, oh, we will not drop this story, Dr. Abati, just don't do trial by media.
No, who is dropping this story? I am only reading what's trending, as always, right? The internet has spoken. Let's take another story. Nigerian pastor Chris Oyakileme has taken a swipe at church leaders who approved the new guidelines for churches to open for worship after the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19 lifted the ban on religious gatherings on Monday, June 1st. While preaching over the weekend, the pastor accused the church leaders of approving the new guidelines out of greed and jealousy. Well, let's take a quick listen.
One of the reasons you still have lockdown of churches in several countries right now is not even the governments. You'll be amazed. It's church organizations that are keeping many churches locked up till now. The so-called advisors of government. Government invited certain church leaders, consulting with them whether to open the churches or not to open the churches. They advised the governments to keep the churches locked because of their own fears, their greed, and their jealousy. These are their problems, nothing else. And they kept those churches locked. But their days are numbered. Yes. Believe me. And the shameful requirements. Church leaders are telling church members, no communion, no physical touch. And if anybody is going to lay hands on the sick, they have to wear a glove. Did this happen in the Church of Jesus Christ? Did it really happen? You would think such an instruction or guidance came from the sinners, for which we should laugh.
All right. I mean, he's not giving up, is he?
I'm trying to understand why jealousy and greed comes into it, and shame, or what else.
That took me a while to understand.
Out there? I just don't understand the basis of his allegation.
I have no clue.
I think we can't jump into the trade war among pastors, because obviously there must be some kind of trade war.
It seems
that
like
goes on in the Church of God, and there must be some competition. He's accusing some pastors of having, or religious leaders, Christian leaders, of advising the government to keep churches shut down. But I thought that the latest that we have heard is that churches and mosques are now being opened across the country.
I guess he wasn't aware at the time he made that
he needed to take a dig.
No, I think it's more of the regulations. He's more...
Yeah, the limitations
and the regulations.
Like people,
he's saying no communion and laying hands on people. I mean...
you know, he doesn't believe in the first place in the fact of COVID-19.
No.
And in that regard, he has been very consistent. And we have had cause to tell him, like, look, the science is more important than whatever prejudices he may have. And the thing to note is that even now that the churches have been reopened, and mosques are also reopening, I thought you would have been happy, that the church economy will boom again.
No, he wants the communion, he wants the social distancing, like the thermometer shouldn't be used in the church. He even at one point was against
he has no control over that.
Preaching.
And that's why we keep saying government must enforce his own guidelines.
And the church economy is always going to be fine. There's nothing that's going to happen to the church economy. Where is his faith, quite frankly? These regulations are there to protect your congregants so that they do not die of a horrible disease. And how is that difficult to understand?
There's nothing wrong with the regulations. How does that affect anything that has to do with
the church will be fine.
If you're wearing a glove and you're laying your hand on a member of your church, I mean,
it's still okay.
It's still fine.
Those ones are precautionary measures.
Yes, but why is he criticizing that?
It's nothing to get hysterical about.
Yes.
But I think we must also note that at least 2 prominent pastors, even with the easing of the lockdown on places of religious worship, have said they are not reopening. Pastor Tunde Bakare, for example, of the Lateran Assembly, Pastor Chris Okotie of the Household of God. So even with the reopening, you still have some pastors who are saying, no, this is a choice that we will make. We do not want to endanger the lives of our worshippers. And then you have at the other extreme, Pastor Chris Oyakilome, who is still so emotional.
I don't understand it, because in the good book, which he should know, Christ himself says the gates of hell will not prevail against his church. So COVID-19 or any other pandemic certainly will not. He needs to calm down. The church is fine. People are still worshiping. People are still congregating in their homes.
Yeah. And they're still,
via teleconferencing. It's fine.
And they're still paying their tithes.
They're still paying tithes, still paying offerings. The church is untouchable. I don't understand his problem.
I mean, he's not going to stop. We're going to see more of. I think this whole COVID-19 pandemic has really turned against a lot of people. I mean, this is really a thing that should be cautioned at this point with the pastors.
He's bringing out the best and the worst out of people.
We're seeing all kinds of things.
All right, should we take another story before we go on a break?
Let's go on a break.
Okay,
we'll
perfect.
We'll be back.
Let's do
stay
that.
with us. Yeah, welcome back to the morning show here on Arise News. We're still with OG Okpe with What's Trending.
Sure. Well, still in Nigeria, users on social media have reacted to a bill signed by the governor of Ekiti State, which stipulates that rapists should not be granted bail. According to the governor, the bill entitled Compulsory Treatment and Care for Child Victims of Sexual Violence Law 2020, recently passed by the State House of Assembly, reaffirms the state's commitments to prompt medical care for child victims of sexual violence and supports the effective prosecution of sex offenders. The governor further directed the Ministry of Justice to uphold the state's policy of opposing bail and rejecting plea bargain proposals from perpetrators of rape and child defilement. Let's take some reactions real quick. One user, Edward, wrote, "No matter how noble this law is, so as to serve as a deterrent against rape and other sexual offenses, fact is, this new law is unconstitutional and therefore illegal. Bail is a constitutional right of every human accused of an offense. A suspect is innocent until proven guilty." Another user wrote, "Allow this law to stand and watch innocent people incarcerated for doing absolutely nothing. Bail is a constitutional right that can't be taken from the citizen. The court reserved the right to determine if an accused should be bailed or not." Finally, Hephaestus wrote, "Blocking bail, that is clearly illegal and arbitrary. Suspects in any criminal offense are innocent until proven guilty, as provided under Section 36, subsection 5 of the 1999 Constitution. Rape is a bailable offense."
It's all there.
Yes,
we have the presumption of innocence enshrined in our Constitution. And I hate to be a nitpicker, especially when the ideals of this bill are so noble and really obvious. He's trying to take a hard line, but that is a line too far, I think. That part has to be expunged.
Well, in any case, now that it's been signed into law by the governor of Ekiti State, the best way to go and test it is to go and challenge the law in the court of law, as we have seen, for example, with the environmental sanitation regulation in Lagos State, which it took someone to go to court to go and test the law. And then the law found in favor of the person who said you cannot tell people to stay at home at a particular day of the week just to engage in proper hygiene. We've seen a similar case with the use of the title State of Osun in Osun State. Somebody went to court and said, look, you cannot tax me because State of Osun does not exist. And the court ruled in that person's favor that what is known to the Constitution is Osun State. So in this particular case, I believe that someone will go and test that part of the law. And of course, any law that goes against the Constitution is to the extent of its contradictory nature, null and void. It's a notorious fact of law. It's a trite point. Now, however, we go beyond that. I think we should commend Governor Fayemi, and in fact also the House of Assembly in Ekiti State for the principled position that they have consistently taken on the issue of rape. Ekiti State was the first state to come up with the idea of a sexual offenders register. That was sometime last year. And the state did not only name and shame rapists, it also published their photographs on social media so that a person will know that, look, these are sexual offenders. The principles that the governor articulated, one, zero tolerance against all forms of sexual violence. I think we cannot controvert that. And secondly, is asking for a national consensus on the issue of rape. That was the substance of his speech when he was signing that bill into law. And I think that the kind of pandemic, rape pandemic that we are witnessing. One newspaper reported yesterday that 10 cases alone in 1 week.
Terrible.
And those are reported cases.
There was one that was over the weekend.
There will be more.
A 12-year-old gang raped by 4 masked men. I mean.
So that national consensus that Dr. Fayemi is asking for, I think should be in the nature of a review of the existing laws that are in every sense defective. Either Section 252 or Section 218 or Section 367 or Section 364 of the Criminal Code.
Very good, Dr. Mbasi. Very well said. Let's take another story. The Lagos State Governor, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, on Sunday installed Oba Abdulwasiu Omogbolahan Lawal Abisogun II as the 15th Oniru of Iru land in Ekiti State local government area of the state. Photos of the event, attended by several dignitaries flouting social distancing rules, circulated across social media platforms. The new Oba was the Lagos State Commissioner for Agriculture. He succeeds the late Oba Idowu Abiodun, who passed on in September 2019 at the age of 82. This is news has been going on around social media. People are kind of outraged that, all of these dignitaries, knowing the issue of social distancing, still flouted the rules. I mean, the important thing to note here is the fact that the fastest way COVID-19 spreads is when people are flouting the rules in this type of enclosed environment.
They've got their masks on, though.
Yes, they have their masks on. I mean, that's the news right now on social media.
Well, I think first, before we talk about leaders leading by example, and I think, the leaders that you saw in that video, they were using face masks.
Yes.
But the concern was during the coronation rites itself, when a lot of people, were gathered together and they didn't observe physical distancing. What it means, of course, is that when we see this kind of situation, we should continue to speak up. Because what has been observed is that super spreader events are mostly responsible for the spread of the for the community transmission of COVID-19. That said, I think we should congratulate the brand new Oniru of Iru land on his coronation. Long may he reign. And his emergence is very instructive because, after the passing of the late Oniru of Iru land from the Akiogun branch of that stool, it was said that at one point his son was going to succeed him. Then later it was said the successor will come from the Abisogun branch of the stool. And at the end of the day, a name was touted. The person is a cousin to the present Oniru, who had just ascended the throne. And then at the end of the day, it was Oba Gbolahan Lawal that has now emerged. So congratulations to him. His own branch of the stool, had not been on that throne for almost over 80 years.
Wow.
So this, again, will represent some kind of justice, some kind of equity, and we ought to congratulate all the kingmakers that there has been no rancor, there has been no, expression of ill will. I saw a sense of cooperation, and that, I think, is a great achievement for the people of Iru land in Lagos State. The Oniru is in charge of the whole of Victoria Island, and he has a very solid pedigree. He has been ADC to former governor of Lagos State, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. He's been special assistant. He's been commissioner in about 2-3 different ministries, and he's well-educated, a first degree in botany, and a master's also from a School of Oriental and African Studies in the United Kingdom. So he comes prepared on all fronts in terms of, family pedigree and also in terms of public service. So we look forward to a peaceful reign, and we wish him well.
Congratulations to him. Well said. Let's head over to the UK now, where British-Nigerian boxer Anthony Joshua, during a Black Lives Matter rally over the weekend, described racism as a pandemic. The 30-year-old world heavyweight champion attended the protest rally in his hometown of Watford, wearing a knee brace and was on crutches. With a passionate delivery, he told the crowd to stand united against the virus that has been instrumental in taking lives. Let's take a quick listen.
We can no longer, from today onwards, be proud. We can no longer sit back and remain silent on the senseless, unlawful killings, sly racism of another human being based only on what? Their skin color. We need to speak out in peaceful demonstrations, just like today, so well done, Watford. Inject the vaccine. We must not use a demonstration for selfish motives and turn it into rioting and looting. We need to be united in non-violent demonstrations, show them where it hurts, abstain from spending your money in their shops and in economies, and invest in black-owned businesses. And that's for all communities. If you want to uplift yourself, invest in your own businesses. We have to engage with the youth. We have to engage with the youth and put an end to black youth gang culture. This postcode war, how many houses do we own on that postcode that we're fighting for? Let's inject the vaccine. Every life matters. 100%, I agree with that. But that does include black lives, and that's why we're here today. True. George Floyd, we're all aware of his name, was the catalyst in a list that is already way, way, way too long. But ask yourself a question. How does the looting for the latest flat screen TV help him or his family? How does burning down shops and taking another life stop the virus from spreading? And remember, the virus we're talking about is racism.
That was so well said. I mean, I really enjoy seeing all these people. John Boyega was last week, and now Anthony Joshua really taking up space and talking about these issues. And I think it's so important, and everyone is, so excited to see them take up this cause, really.
Well, we only have a minute.
Yes.
That was quite impressive to see prominent celebrities, major inspirational figures, joining the whole issue about racial equality and lending their voice. The other day it was John Boyega. Now it's Anthony Joshua, who is quite an inspirational figure, not just in Nigeria, but also in the United Kingdom. And, I hope that the change that we all look for,
I think so.
Not just in the United States, but elsewhere, with regard to issues of race and equality, would happen, would be achieved.
We mustn't go back to business as usual.
Congratulations to both of them.